Welcome back everyone. I wanted to go ahead and talk about the next version of phones that I wanted to go and hit on, which is the iPhone 6 series, specifically the iPhone 6, and see how it holds up 6 years later. Believe it or not, this phone is hitting 6 years old, or has already been 6 years old at this point, which is insane. I mean, I remember when this phone just came out and I was seeing a bunch of memes, I was seeing a bunch of stuff on Twitter just about, oh, this is a new feature, and it was just like some knockoff things and people trying to be funny. And I was so surprised that Apple, increased the size, and I was more surprised about the 6 Plus. Now this phone wasn't perfect, and I've already made 30 videos on this thing since even this year, but this is not a full review, basically just kind of breaking down the whole entire history, or most of the history about this device. Now this thing had that Apple A8 chip inside of it, which was actually pretty okay at the time, but it definitely was not that fast. I mean, the A9 chip, in my opinion, was basically what the A8 chip should have been. It only had 1 gig of RAM, it didn't have a crazy amount, but it came in a bigger body, and this was a bigger visual change more so than anything else. I don't think Apple was trying to redesign, the internals or anything crazy. They just really wanted to basically, make a bigger phone, and that's what they did with this phone and the 6 Plus. Now, this phone wasn't a big phone specifically. The 6 Plus was a massive phone at the time, but definitely I think the iPhone 6 was a crazy good phone at the time, but it was plagued by so many problems. Things like Bendgate, things like, the random issues that people were having, power shutdowns, I think, was another one, but that Bendgate was a biggest issue. I mean, it still plagues so many people, I think, just mentally, just because they pick up old phone, they're like, oh, is it going to be another one of these Bendgate things? And it was crazy at that time. I remember watching all those videos about people bending it just so easily. And what's funny is I had the 6 Plus, which I think was the bigger model that could have potentially, had more problems with it. And I actually didn't have too many problems with it. I had a case on it. It never bent. I do own some iPhone 6s and 6s Pluses now that were bent, which was pretty interesting because it's just so funny to have like a piece of history like that. And I will definitely tell you that is the one thing that has plagued this whole entire phone series for sure. But since its release has gotten, several updates, it stopped getting supported iOS 12. However, what I can tell you though is that even this year, a whole 6 years later, and not even 6 years, I'm talking like a couple weeks ago, we just got another version of iOS for this phone, and that is insane. This phone originally came out in 2014, and the fact that it's still kind of being supported is super insane to me for sure. And I think that's one of the craziest things about it. And every time I think about that, that's insane. I love making videos and updated, iOS videos about these specific, phones. And that's just insane to me that this phone has that capability for sure. Now, on top of that, not only are you getting, the bigger screen at that time, but you're also getting, the longer software support, which was pretty insane to me. Performance-wise, I mean, this phone hasn't held up that well. I mean, it's pretty much outdated every single way you look at it. So that's just a given. I mean, it's not going to be, the best performing phone at all. But the fact that people are still talking about it, the fact that Apple is still supporting it is pretty insane to me. They also supported the iPhone 5S, but with this phone, they're still supporting it. I think that's a really good thing that Apple is doing. And just thinking about this phone, the future of iOS and iPhones in general, I mean, does this mean that future phones will potentially have, longer software support too, since Apple has supported this phone on iOS 12, which is now a 2-year-old version of software? I think that's probably going to be a yes. And I think this phone, even though at the time it was kind of like a train wreck, it was one of, I think, the best selling iPhones ever, but it was messed up in terms of the release, in terms of the Bendgate issues and everything. But when you look at right now what this phone is doing in terms of the iOS standpoint, I think that's a really impressive thing. So for sure, I can tell you a whole 6 years later, it definitely wasn't the best phone at the time. I mean, it was definitely a good selling phone for sure. It made Apple a lot of money. But with the issues that Apple had at that time, I think they had to make up for it. And now, as of this point, Apple is still supporting it. And I think that's pretty insane. Even though there are only security updates, the fact that people at Apple are still even writing code to, fix things within the software is pretty insane in my opinion. So that really pretty much covers it up for the most part. If you guys have any other questions or anything, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. Every single subscriber that we get really does count. So it means so much for you guys to hit that. Also check out the other links down in the description as well. My Twitter, my Instagram, my other channels. More importantly, everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.